So many years ago, a very clever friend of mine was doing a PhD at Oxford. They call them DPhils there. And he gave me some learning advice that I will never forget. And I want to share that with you today. It's the same advice that I found years later in this book by Seneca. And he wrote this about 2,000 years ago. But I think it's even more relevant now than it's ever been. It's simple to understand, but difficult to implement, and today I'm going to show you what it is, why it's important, and how you can use it to stop being so rubbish at learning. I've made just about every learning error you can think of. I was a very bad learner, and this is just another of my terrible mistakes. When I was first studying physics, which was a long time ago, I had a problem. I didn't really understand it. Not at all. I couldn't answer the questions. I remember the feeling of dread as I read through the problem set on a topic that we'd just been taught. I didn't have the faintest idea how to solve it. It was kind of dread mixed with panic and just feeling totally inadequate. Sitting there, slumped over my desk, I took the absolute wrong course of action. I went to my books, and if I couldn't find the solution to the problem there, I went to the library, and if that failed, I went to the bookshop. I was going through hundreds of pages of examples, trying to find something, anything that matched the question I needed to answer. It was a disastrous approach, and it was never going to help me understand physics. I was so far from what I should have been doing, I didn't even understand what I didn't understand, and had no concept of what the problem set was attempting to do. To me, it was just something I had to pass each week to remain on the course. But that was only the secondary purpose, although you wouldn't necessarily know it because we were reminded of that weekly. If you don't pass X% of your problem sheets, you'll be out of here. But nobody ever said these problem sets are where the learning happens. That's why they're so important. It should have been obvious, but it wasn't, and nobody told me. But it's worse now because when I was doing these physics problems, the World Wide Web hadn't taken off. We had cars, but there wasn't much on the web. But if I was in that same situation now, I would have an infinite amount of material to sift through and might never learn anything. Without the support of sponsors, I can't make videos. So here's a quick word from today's sponsor, and then we'll get back to Seneca. This is no time for playing games. You've got a sponsorship to create. This is a sponsorship for boot.dev. They've turned learning into a game. I'm learning something so valuable it had a median salary of over $100,000 in the US in 2024. Needlecraft? Nope. Back-end development with Python, Go and SQL. I don't know anything about that. You will if you sign up for boot.dev. No. I don't like doing a load of repetitive exercises. With boot.dev, you build real-world projects, exactly the type of projects you'll build when you're doing the job. I'm doing this Linux module. It's such a fundamental skill. It's not just about programming, but the whole infrastructure around it. Docker, RabbitMQ, Kubernetes. There's a capstone project too. What if you get stuck? Oh, I do. And Boots helps me out. He's an AI bear wizard that's trained on all the content. If there's something I can't do, I ask him. He doesn't just tell me the answer, but asks follow-up questions to ensure I understand it. That sounds good. How do I sign up? Go to boot.dev and use my code Python to get 25% off the entire first year on the annual plan. Now, Seneca refers to this in his essay on discursiveness in reading. He says, "Be careful, however, lest this reading of many authors and books of every sort may tend to make you discursive and unsteady. You must linger among a limited number of master thinkers. Everywhere means nowhere." And I was in this position trying to answer my physics problem sets, and Seneca could see that it does not lead where you hope it will. He's talking about books, but he could easily be referring to the internet, especially with this next sentence. See what you think. Does it apply to your internet and learning habit? A plant which is often moved can never grow strong. There is nothing so efficacious that it can be helpful while it is being shifted about. And in reading of many books is distraction. And there it is. 2,000 years ago, Seneca was warning about the dangers of distraction in the context of learning. And he could never have imagined the perfect distraction machine we have now, the internet, which tricks you into thinking you're learning, but you're not. Seneca and my Oxford PhD friend were giving the same advice, which you can summarize as this: stop consuming content. But how to do that when content is spewing over you constantly? I mean, you're watching this video, right? You have to put more effort into creating stuff than consuming it. If you haven't found the answer in the 10th video you watched, you're unlikely to find it in the 11th. Stop. Set ground rules. Has research decayed into procrastination? And there's an easy way to answer that question by asking another. Is what I'm doing passive? If the answer to that is yes, you're not learning. All learning requires active engagement. If it feels passive, you're not learning. And this isn't just nonsense made up by someone on YouTube. That would never happen. There is actual scientific evidence to back it up. Like this meta-analysis by Freeman et al. In 2014, which showed that active engagement reduces failure rates by 55%. Or this one from 2022, where active engagement led to a 10% increase in student performance. All the evidence, and there is a lot more, indicates that active engagement is essential to learn. I wasn't actively engaging with my physics problems. I was just trying to find an easy way to answer them. Seneca could have told me that 2,000 years ago. Active engagement requires creation. And if you're not doing that, you won't learn. So this is what I want you to do. Yes, I'm giving you homework. You weren't expecting that when you clicked, were you? Think about active engagement. How can you actively engage with something you want to learn? And it could be as simple as asking yourself questions on what you've just read or watched. It could be about the topic. Can I explain it? But it could be more meta than that. Did I struggle whilst engaging with that content? If not, it was probably passive, and you don't want that. Can you teach what you've just learned or use it to solve a problem? Are you reflecting on it later when you're watching Netflix? These are all good signs. Read what Seneca has to say. I've put a link in the description to a lot of his essays. And then get off the internet.